Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Administrator Wheeler, welcome. Last week, an article published in the Chicago Tribune made an alarming observation. While cities with some of the worst air pollution in the world, like New Delhi, are enjoying clear skies for the first time in decades, Chicago's own soot pollution has gone down by just 1% over the last month. And on average, April 2020 was dirtier than both April 2018 and 2017. I am concerned that the enforcement policy your agency implemented has sent industry the message that they can operate without regulation. This non-enforcement policy is almost certain to hurt low-income communities and communities of color the hardest, where industries that operate without regulation are most located, in Black and Brown communities in particular. EPA's Region 5 office is in my backyard, and I take very seriously that the workforce there must be able to shelter in place safely. However, I am appalled that EPA would offer a blanket non-enforcement policy without seeking specific information on why these facilities are unable to comply with their permits. Can you answer yes or no? Is EPA requiring every regulated company that claims it is unable to comply with its monitoring, reporting, or other compliance obligations due to COVID-19 to disclose that information to EPA?
They will eventually have to, but Senator, no one is allowed to increase their emissions under our enforcement discretion policy. So the premise of your question is incorrect, and our enforcement staff have been very busy. Since March 16th, we have opened 52 criminal enforcement cases. We've charged 10 defendants. We've concluded 122 civil enforcement actions. We've initiated another 115 civil enforcement actions. We've secured $21.5 million in Superfund response commitments. We've billed more than $20 million in Superfund oversight costs, and we've obtained commitments from parties for cleanup of 68,000 cubic yards of contaminated soil and water, all since March 16th. No one anywhere in this country is allowed to increase their emissions under our enforcement discretion. The enforcement discretion policy only goes to routine reporting mechanisms that they have to comply with, and we had to issue that because we regulate over 1.1 million facilities across the country, and many of those facilities have been shut down, and they do not have the staff on hand to submit their reports to us. They still have to submit their reports. It's just if because of COVID-19 they have to be late, then they have to cite why they were late when they submit their reports to us. But no one is allowed to increase their emissions. And if they do, as I just said, 52 criminal enforcement cases, 122 civil actions since March 16th. So no one is off the hook on environmental enforcement in this country.
So let me make sure I've got this correct. You're saying that EPA currently requires every regulated company to report to EPA and to disclose that information swiftly to Congress and to the public when they cannot comply with the emissions regulations?
Put a deadline on when they have to comply, because a lot of these facilities don't have any employees in their facilities, and we don't want to have to require people to come in to fill out a standard report. Some permits require biweekly, monthly, quarterly reports to be filed with the agency. And we don't want to have, particularly for some of these facilities that are not operating, they're still required to submit their reports. So if, because of COVID-19, if they cannot submit their reports on time, they are allowed to cite coronavirus. They still have to report to us. But if they are going to be late because of coronavirus, then they have to cite specifically coronavirus as the reason why they're late. But again, they are not allowed to increase their emissions. And if they increase their emissions, we will go after them. And we have been, and we will continue to.
So I've also seen some reports that EPA has shut down air monitors in Region 5 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Air monitors are...
All the air monitors are required to be up and running. These are the monitors that the states deploy. The data that comes in to us from those monitors is automated, so you don't have to go out in the field. We actually have I believe it was in Michigan, one of the air monitors triggered, I believe it was magnesium, and we sent a team out to take a look at the monitor to see if the monitor was accurate or not. So no, we are still getting all of the data that we normally get from our air monitoring network that's deployed all across the country.
All right, thank you. And then just one final question. Will you commit to delivering on the recommendations that your own Inspector General made in regard to public disclosure of ethylene oxide's risks?
We finalized with the IG, I believe it was last week, and there are no outstanding issues with the IG on the ethylene oxide report, and we are in agreement with the IG and on the steps that need to be taken going forward. There are no outstanding steps to that report. Everything has
I'm
been
out of
agreed
time,
to.
Mr. Chair.